games are the latest craze to sweep the country and most of the world, too. Millions of people are addicted to hours of gazing at electronic images on game screens in arcades and in their own homes. What makes video games so popular? We search for an answer as we begin a special series on Video Fever, games people play.
We don't know how to breed Zelda, but we do know why kids love them and critics hate them. John Stossel reports.
It may be the most addictive toy in history, and it's definitely the hottest thing this Christmas. Nintendo video games. They first arrived from Japan 3 years ago, and now millions of American kids are hooked and mesmerized. When they do stop to talk, it's in a language only they understand.
So to please the kids, they line up at the few stores so they can rush to get to the television set. Now usually they don't play to gift. We invited them to a Nintendo party. They pop the cartridge into this deck, which attaches to any television set. These controls direct the characters. The better your eye-hand coordination, the better you do. Never has there been a toy that's been this successful.
Welcome to the 1990s, a golden age when video games evolved from pixelated pastimes to immersive, world-shaping experiences. The tech was clunky, and the screens were bulky, but the imagination, limitless. Console giants clashed in the Great Console Wars. Nintendo unleashed the Super Nintendo, and later the Nintendo 64, revolutionizing 3D gaming with Super Mario 64 and the Ocarina of Time. Sega, with its Genesis, Saturn, and the Dreamcast, fought back with speed and style. Then in '94, Sony entered the battlefield with the PlayStation, ushering in the CD-ROM era with cinematic titles like Final Fantasy VII and Metal Gear Solid. Meanwhile, on the PC front, a quieter revolution was brewing, and at the heart of it all was a small, ambitious company, Bethesda Softworks. Bethesda began in 1986, not with dragons or Daedric princes, but with a football game. Their first title? Gridiron, a physics-based sports simulator that was years ahead of its time. Founded by Christopher Weaver, Bethesda quickly built a reputation for blending realism with innovation. Through the late 80s and into the early 90s, they worked on a mix of sports, racing, and licensed games, including Wayne Gretzky hockey and Terminator titles that pushed boundaries on DOS-based systems.
Realistic computer racing game ever? X-Car is from Gaithersburg-based Bethesda Softworks.
This way you go really, really fast.
Some of the most talented game designers in the business put a lot of time into this game.
Well, as close as we can figure it, it's about 35 man-years.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding, although person-years, I should say.
The 1990s saw PC gaming explode, powered by MS-DOS, Windows 95, and iconic hardware like Sound Blaster cards, floppy disks, and eventually 3DFX Voodoo graphics accelerators. Bethesda quietly rode that wave, growing their technological expertise and experimenting with open-world design, and their Terminator games, which surprisingly featured early versions of sandbox mechanics, a living world, AI-driven enemies, and even drivable vehicles. But in 1994, everything changed. Bethesda released a game that no one expected, a dark horse that would become the foundation of one of gaming's most legendary franchises, The Elder Scrolls Arena. Originally conceived as a gladiator-style fighter, Arena morphed mid-development into a sprawling open-world RPG. It wasn't perfect. Bugs, a brutal learning curve, and sprawling ambition nearly tanked it. But it was visionary. You can go anywhere, be anyone. The seeds of Skyrim, Oblivion, and Morrowind were planted right here. Bethesda had officially entered the fantasy pantheon, and the rest of the 90s, it only got bolder. Daggerfall followed in '96 with a map so massive it still holds records today. Meanwhile, other PC classics like Doom, Quake, and Baldur's Gate and StarCraft pushed the envelope as LAN parties and dial-up modems gave rise to early online multiplayer. Handheld gaming thrived too. The Game Boy ruled the world with Pokemon, while Tamagotchi and Digimon devices kept pockets buzzing. Arcades still booming, with Street Fighter II, Mortal Kombat, and Dance Dance Revolution drawing crowds. The 1990s weren't just about games, they were about vision. They were about breaking rules, taking risks, and building legends. Bethesda once a tiny studio dabbling in hockey and cyborgs, became one of the industry's most respected storytellers, setting the stage for RPG greatness that still resonates today. This is where it all began, the Elder Scrolls Arena. The first game in the series, and honestly, one of the most ambitious RPGs of its era, even if very few people have actually played it all the way through. Arena takes place across the entirety of Tamriel, every single province, Morrowind, Skyrim, High Rock, Hammerfell, Cyrodiil, Blackmarsh, Elsewhere, Somerset Isle, and Valenwood. Yes, even back in '94, Bethesda already had the continent roughly mapped out. The story? You play a nameless prisoner. Sound familiar? But in this case, you're not just escaping from a dungeon. You've been chosen by Ria Silmane, the ghost of a betrayed Imperial battle mage, to stop Jagar Tharn, the guy who locked Emperor Uriel Septim VII in a pocket dimension and took his place on the Ruby Throne. To do that, you need to recover the pieces of the shattered Staff of Chaos, each hidden in a legendary dungeon across Tamriel. She guides you to each piece of the Staff of Chaos. After collecting all 8 fragments, you reforge the staff. Then you enter the Imperial City as the final dungeon, and confront Jagar Tharn. Each staff fragment quest required exploring massive dungeons and solving light puzzles. Along the way, you learn about Tamrielic myths, Daedric princes, and the Empire. Tamriel in Arena is procedurally generated. That means hundreds of towns and cities, all built using algorithms. Each province has its own look and flavor, so the differences are mostly cosmetic by modern standards. You could travel anywhere in the world from the beginning using the fast travel map, choosing how long your journey would take based on weather and travel style. There are over 400 dungeons, but many share similar layouts, textures, and encounter patterns. Still, at the same time, this scale was mind-blowing. The big dungeons, where the staff pieces are located, are hand-designed. These include Stone Keep, which is located in Hammerfell, the Elden Grove, which is found in Valenwood, Selene's Web, which is located in Elsewhere, the Crystal Tower, located in the Somerset Isle, the Labyrinthian, which is located in Skyrim, Morrowind's Dagoth Temple, which is located on the island of Vardenfell within Morrowind, the Halls of Colossus, which is located in Elsewhere, the Black Gate, which is located in the Imperial City. Each one has its own theme, key enemy types, and boss encounters. You'll face liches, Daedra, skeletons, and more. Some of these locations are referenced in later games. Arena canonically set up the Elder Scrolls map and naming conventions. Loot is mostly randomized, but includes some early versions of the Daedric artifacts and rare items that would become franchise staples, such as the Ebony Mail, the Ring of Khajiit, the Skeleton Key, the Staff of Magnus, Spellbreaker. There's no item weight limit, and gear scaling is level based. You could find Mithril, Elven, and Daedric equipment, often as rare as drops or hidden in locked chests. Arena's character creation was already pretty robust. You chose your race, which affected starting stats, and picked from traditional D&D style classes, like the Knight, the Spellsword, the Sorcerer, the Assassin, or the Bard. Combat is done in first person with a unique mechanic. You swing your sword by dragging your mouse, swipe left right, up, and down. Each direction gives you a different attack. Spells are cast via a hotbar and cost spell points. There's no real stealth system, and dialogue is menu-driven, but Arena already featured reputation, faction interactions, and even a primitive calendar system for events. You also had to rest and repair gear, which added a different element to the game which hasn't been seen before. Arena sold fairly well at launch, but over time it gained a cult following. It was re-released as freeware in the early 2000s. It laid the groundwork for the prison start trope, the expansive, lore-heavy world, open-world freedom, player-driven progression. It wasn't the most polished RPG, but it was a statement of intent. Bethesda was telling players, this is Tamriel. You can go anywhere and do anything. But Arena is rough, but it's sacred ground for the Elder Scrolls fans, and cemented the start of the franchise.